Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be looking into the question, is figure roulette really worth it? So if you guys didn't already know, figure roulette is an option on the Commando Customs website where you can basically spend $20 and they will send you a random figure from their website plus a backpack and a weapon. So to help me determine the worth of each of these figures, I'm basically going to be using a scale of 1 to 10 for 3 different things. That is going to be price, displayability, and usefulness. So the price category is pretty simple. It's just basically you're spending $20 for the figure roulette, and this is basically just gauging how much more of a deal you're getting for the figures. The second category, displayability, that is just going to be how good this figure looks on the shelf, or basically how good of a looking figure this is. And then final category is usefulness, so how useful this would be in a mock. Now for me personally, whenever I decide to buy a Commando Customs figure, it's usually going to be used in some sort of mock, but I know that there are some people out there that just like to have them on display, and I do too. I like to have some of my figures up there as well, so I kind of try to factor that in and kind of even it out and not just kind of have it biased towards what I think. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the 2/12 Driver Trooper, and so this fig retails on the Commando Custom website for $21, so barely above the $20 price point that you're paying. But then of course you get the added $1.50 face, and then the $1 backpack, and then of course the $1 weapon as well, which I don't have on the figure currently. So that rounds off the price to a total of $24.50. So that's a nice little increase in price over the $20 that you're going to be paying. So for that, I'm going to have to give this a 2 on the price category. Next up, we've got displayability, and I personally think this is a great looking figure. I think the unique helmet design definitely makes it stand out, and of course we've got that classic 2/12 coloring on there. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5 on the displayability. And for the third and final category, we have usefulness. And so for this category, I am just going to be basing it off of large scale or bigger mocks, because you can basically build any small mock kind of centered around the figure. So keep that in mind while I'm kind of giving these ratings. But for the usefulness of this 2/12 Driver Trooper, I'm going to have to give it a 9, simply because this guy is a must-have and necessary figure if you're doing any sort of ATRT or 2/12 mock. So that brings our total for this figure to 16 out of 30. Which isn't a great score. The price definitely hurt this guy, but yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the other figures. So the next figure is going to be this P1 Heavy Shock Trooper, and so this figure originally retails for $30 on the Commando Customs website, which is already fantastic, but then of course you've also got that $1.50 face, $1 backpack, and $1 weapon as well. So counting all of those, that brings the figure to a total of $33.50, which is a significant increase to that $20 you were originally paying. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a 9 on the price. So for the displayability, I'm going to have to give this figure a 4, just because I do think this is a little bit of a weird looking figure. I don't really believe anybody would buy this just to have it displayed on their shelf. I think there are much better options out there. But of course, this figure does have amazing looking printing, and the helmet is a unique design, even though I don't like it that much. So for that, I decided to give it a 4. As far as usefulness, I do think this is the least useful figure out here. I'm not even sure if this is an actual trooper in the Star Wars universe. It might be a Legends figure. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I've personally never seen this figure used in any sort of mock, and I personally can't even think of a really plausible place to put this guy other than maybe in some sort of prison or some sort of ship. I'm not really 100% sure. So I really don't think this guy is usable in a large scale mock. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3 on the usefulness. So that rounds this out to a 16 out of 30, the same score as our 2/12 ARF Trooper. So not great. The usefulness definitely drug this guy down a little bit, but you are getting a great deal if you get this figure. And for our third and final figure, we've got Commando Zag, and this figure retails for $29 on the website. And of course, you've also got that $1.50 face, $1 backpack, and $1 accessory. And so that brings our total to $32.50, which is just $1 under the heavy. But since it is a little bit cheaper than the heavy, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8 on the price scale. As far as displayability goes, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a 7. I think this is a very cool and displayable figure. Of course, Commandos are very, very cool and kind of special clones, so it's always cool to get one, especially since LEGO doesn't make any sort of Commandos, and since this is such a kind of coveted type of trooper, it's definitely very good looking on the shelf. There are other cooler looking Commandos out there, of course, but nonetheless, I do think this is a great looking figure. And for usefulness, I'm going to go ahead and give this guy a 5, simply because I do think this guy you can put in some sort of large scale mock just as kind of a side figure, kind of, you know, doing his own thing. He's a little bit more flexible than the Shock Trooper, but not as quite as necessary as a 2/12 driver. So for that, I decided to give him a 5. So that rounds off our total score to 20, which is the highest scoring score out of these 3 figures. This guy was definitely kind of a well-rounder, kind of had some decent scores in every single category. So what can we really make of all this? So obviously, Economy Customs isn't going to be handing out their, you know, coveted kind of commanders and wanted troopers in these figure roulettes, just simply because they are going to sell for their original price. So you're typically going to be getting some figures that don't sell super well, or they have like some extra stock in. So if you're really looking for a usable figure or one that you want to display, I would definitely just go with buying the figure. It's not really any point of spending $20 and kind of taking the risk of not getting the figure that you really want, especially if you're looking for some of those kind of cooler popular figures like those Rexes and Dooms and that sort of stuff. But if you do decide to do a figure roulette, you are going to be getting a figure that is well worth your money. If it's all about the price tag to you, it's definitely a good deal. But of course, you're not always going to be getting what you want. So personally, I wouldn't go out again and spend some more money on this figure roulette, unless for some reason you're really craving some Economy Customs and you're not exactly sure what figure to get. I mean, by all means, go ahead and do it. You're definitely going to be getting your money's worth, but it might not always be what you exactly want to get. But of course, I could have always just been unlucky, and you might just want to take the chance and hopefully maybe get a little bit luckier than I did. But that's going to about wrap up this video. I hope this was somewhat beneficial for any of you who are thinking about buying some Economy Customs or a figure roulette figure in general. But if you did go on to enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe and leave a like. But other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!